Greta Thunberg, we need public pressure, not just summits.
Here's a summary of the article.
Climate activist Greta Thunberg has told the BBC that summits will not lead to action on climate goals unless the public demand change too. In a wide-ranging interview ahead of the COP26 climate summit, she said the public needed to uproot the system. Ms. Thunberg, who recently launched a global series of concerts highlighting climate change called Climate Live, confirmed she would be attending COP26. Climate change is one of the world's most pressing problems. Unfortunately, there are no climate leaders today, especially not in the so-called Global North. But that doesn't mean that they can't suddenly decide that now we're going to take the process seriously, she said. COP26 will be attended by climate activists from across the world. It's very important for people from the Global South to speak for themselves, not other parts of the globe to speak on their behalf. Because we are the ones who have been affected by climate change, so it's very important we can hear from our own people, with our own ideas, our own voice.
This post received a score of 8,800, with an upvote ratio of 78%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
You won't have enough public pressure as long as people want cheap gas, Amazon deliveries, delicious beef and Disneyland vacations. And there are hundreds of millions of Chinese and Indians working very hard to get these things. There will be no public pressure. Just witness our green president asking OPEC to pump more oil because people want cheap gas.
It's very difficult to break away from a consumerist mindset.
Especially when you still have billions of people living in poverty who will need cheap energy to get out of it, and up to this point no one has presented a green option as cheap, plentiful and easily accessible. As backwards as that sounds to those of us who know less than nothing about energy production and its utility.
I've always had the opinion that if the most developed countries want poorer countries to use greener technology, then the more developed countries should pay for the cost of infrastructure and development for the poorer countries to leapfrog things like fossil fuels. Anything else just seems like a demand for poor countries to economically subjugate themselves in perpetuity. Countries cannot modernize or industrialize without energy, and dirty energy is the cheapest way they can proceed with lifting themselves.
As a citizen of a developed country, I would be willing to pay a tax in exchange for a guarantee that this upfinger happens. I would also be willing to go and help build the infrastructure myself.
We need scientists and engineers, not politicians and mouthpieces.
Unfortunately, the scientists and engineers are trying to actually do the work.
Some have begun to take an approach of running for public office to help make changes that many established politicians refuse to consider.
That's good to hear. I hope they can make a difference, but I admit sadly the hostility toward intelligence dampens that hope.
There is a cult of ignorance in the United States, and there always has been. The strain of anti-intellectualism has been a constant thread winding its way through our political and cultural life, nurtured by the false notion that democracy means that my ignorance is just as good as your knowledge. Isaac Asimov.
Actual honest question. Why is her opinion considered world news? Honestly, not trying to be a dick, I am confused. What does she know exactly? What makes her opinion more important as my neighbors? I only know her from the "How dare you" viral video. What did I miss exactly?
Easy clicks. She's a walking buzzword.
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.